Am I the asshole for demanding my sister-in-law pay my babysitter? So this has been causing a bit of an issue in my family, and very few are on my side, including Eve, my babysitter, nanny, who is the very person I'm defending. To be fair, she just doesn't want to be the cause of fight. I recently found out that my sister-in-law for the past year and a half has been dropping her 2 kids off for a few hours each week with Eve, my nanny, babysitter, so that sister-in-law can either go grocery shopping, take a nap, gym, or to the salon to get her hair, nails done. Eve is a generous and kind-hearted person who I know would have a difficult time saying no to a pushy person like my sister-in-law. Eve did say that she prefers that Sil didn't, but she doesn't want to cause trouble and didn't want me to do anything. So over the weekend I had a chat with Sil and I asked her to stop asking Eve to take care of her kids and that she needed to look into daycare or get her own nanny, as Eve will no longer be doing free childcare for her. I even gave her the details of nanny, babysitter service that could match her with someone. Since then my in-laws have been on my ass pretty much. They're saying that I should share Eve with Sil, and when I sarcastically asked if they'd go halves with me and we'd split Eve's $80K salary, and suddenly Sil could never afford that. I of course knew she couldn't pay even half her wages. So I asked her to then at least pay her $25 an hour every time she dumps her kids on her. This also was met with she can't afford it. So I told her that if she can't afford it then she'd need to watch her own kids. Apparently that was rude and I'm using my money to bully them. I don't think I'm the asshole in this, and in fact I think they are for thinking it's normal to have free childcare. My husband is also pissing me off, because he thinks I'm being an asshole for saying anything and for even ask they pay. Now after having discussed this with my colleague I'm starting to doubt it, as she pointed out that Eve has been put into awkward situation since my Sil did text her asking if she was okay with her having dropped her kids off with her. But the thing is, I know Eve, I know she's just too shy to say no, or she's possibly worried that this could maybe affect her job. Not that it would, and I have reassured Eve that her job is in no way or shape in jeopardy. So am I being an asshole and should I let it go? Edit 1. I just want to make things clear and say my husband was aware of his sister's behavior, which is how I was kept out of the loop. I've also tried to put myself in Eve's shoes, and from my understanding, Eve's unfortunately afraid of rocking the boat as she is in a vulnerable position. She has limited English and she's in the process of getting her citizenship, which obviously makes her vulnerable for exploitation. And the fact that my husband was the main person who dealt with Eve also played a big part in Sil using her for unpaid labor. And to also be fairer to Eve, she has babysat for Sil when I was aware of it, but I always compensated her for it. So all in all I absolutely understand how she would have thought it was okay, and I put all the blame on my own head and on husbands and sister-in-laws. Edit 2. As someone has pointed out, I have a husband problem, not a in-law problem. As it is his fault for not stepping in when his sister was taking advantage, and that his inaction and my own allowed for this to go on. Thank you for pointing that out. I've made a note of that and will be talking to Eve about how this situation has been caused by not only my sister-in-law but also by me and my husband. I absolutely hold my hand up and say I should have been more protective of her and should have empowered her, and unfortunately I failed at that. I will be having a conversation with my husband and removing him as Eve's primary. I pay Eve's salary and I am the breadwinner, and work crazy long hours, and so relied on my husband to fill me in on the day-to-day information, and so I will have to find a way to be home more often and deal with things myself. Edit 3. FYI, Eve and I are from the same culture, ethnicity and race. Which is one of the biggest reasons I hired her, as I wanted my children to know my native language and culture. After some conversation with a couple of Redditors, I am now seeing my husband and in-laws in less rose-tinted glasses. Although there hasn't been any racial slurs or microaggressions thrown around. I would need to keep in mind that this probably wouldn't have happened to someone in the same racial identity as my white in-laws. The entire thing now has grown into a different thing, and I feel very stupid, and I think this is the straw that broke the camel's back situation. I don't even know how to rule. Your Sil and her family all suck. But honestly, I would be upset with Eve too. Being a nice person does not mean you allow yourself to be a doormat. A year and a half? Like, how did this all start? Does Sil have a key, or did Eve let her in? How did she get Eve's number to ask her to begin with? What else does she allow because she's afraid of confrontation? Not the asshole. You are paying Eve $80,000 for X number of kids. It's not fair for her to watch X plus 2 kids at the same rate. Similarly, it's not fair for you to pay any additional costs. Sil can watch her own kids if she can't afford childcare. Your in-laws can help. Not the asshole. She is taking the piss. Definitely well within your right to ask for her to contribute. Probably off topic, but your babysitter makes 80,000? You hired Eve to care for your children. Sis-in-law. Sil. Went behind your back to use your nanny for free childcare, somehow for 6 months before you found out. I'm not surprised Eve didn't mind, but surprised she didn't inform you as her employer. How is she so cozy with Sil that she's okay having her kids around yours without asking you at 80 grand a year? You're not the asshole for expecting Sil to contribute something for using a service you pay for. And why WNBTA to find out why Eve felt she had to keep this on the QT for so long. Some vital piece of information is missing here. Am I the asshole for refusing that my sick mother-in-law to move in my house? I am a mother of 4 children aging from 10 to 16 and I work in marketing. Our house is pretty decent in size, each 2 of the 4 kids share a room, then my husband and I bedroom. So in total we have 3 sleeping rooms and no extras for sleeping. My husband's mother been sick for quite a while and she needs to be taken care of 24/7. That's why my husband got her a personal nurse and caretaker. And #X200B. And #X200B. Recently my husband been tired of paying the nurse and his mother's rent, he suggested she moves in with us so he wouldn't pay her rent and only pay for the nurse. As I said, our house is already packed with the 6 of us, so bringing his mother and the nurse would be 8. Our house can't handle that and we do not have enough rooms. Also his mother cannot sit down, she always has to lie in bed and we don't have any possible extra bed or space to put a new bed in. Husband suggested that she stays in my youngest kid's room that only has 2 beds, so my kids, 10 and 12, to sleep on one bed while his mother takes the other one, and I straight up refused and told him I won't disturb my kids' comfort like that and we still won't have a place for the nurse. He told me I stay at home and quit my job so he can cut off the nurse and I take care of his mother. I told him how about he takes care of his mother and quit to stay at home, and he said no. And #X200B. And #X200B. She hasn't moved in yet, I won't allow it, the house already feels small for us 6. Also I have 3 more brother-in-laws, one of them lives alone and isn't married. So my husband is not her only child, yet he is the one who paid for the nurse and the rent alone. I asked him to tell his brothers to help, he refused. His pride didn't allow him to ask them for help, but he was completely fine with asking me to quit my job so he wouldn't pay for a nurse and to ask me to pack the house more because he can't pay her rent. And #X200B. This been going on for so long and he called me heartless for refusing her to move in. I told him she can move in if we get ourselves a bigger house, then he proceeded to call me ungrateful for what I have. I don't have a problem with her personally, but I don't want to suffocate at home and don't want to shove in 2 of my kids in one bed, neither do I want to quit my job. And #X200B. And #X200B. Am I the asshole? Edit. I didn't add this part because the word limit, but the full story is when I married my husband we were all good and nothing made our household shake. Until 4 years ago Phil died and my husband changed 180 degrees and started being this miserable asshole he is. I was handling it at first in consideration that that's his father who died, but it has been 4 years. I've been preparing to divorce him for a year now and was going to buy a house, then thankfully my late uncle left me a house that I inherited, so I was able to save the money I was going to spend on a new house. The house been finalized under my name 4 months ago. My husband is aware of this and he knows that we are going to leave in the next 6 months, so he is trying to do anything to hinder us or make life remaining months miserable, just like having to quit my job and stay moneyless for 6 months and probably not finding a new job. He didn't tell me that's his intentions, but I am aware of how he thinks when he has the expenses to cover up the house with me 50-50 and pay his mother rent. What's his problem then? He wouldn't be able to save the largest sum of money. Why didn't I already leave? School started and leaving would mean they will all repeat their academic year. I talked to them and made them know we can move now, but made them aware of the outcome. They agreed on staying. Why did I wait 4 years? I was saving up and preparing my things. 4 years is a long time, but I couldn't risk taking up 4 children when I don't have enough money for a house or educational tuition. Can he move his mother without my agreement? He knows if he did I'll stop paying anything in the house. We spend $3,000 every month, we split it and he pays $500 for his mother rent and nurse. So in total he spends $2,000 on half the house and his mother. If he did anything without my agreement he'll pay $3,000 alone plus the nurse obviously. He told his mum I'll take care of her even though I never agreed, and she sent me a message thanking me which I didn't answer. He lied to her so he would guilt trip me. He also contacted my siblings and my friends to tell them I am a heartless woman, that one day my kids leave me too like I left my mill. Newsflash, she has 4 kids, I am not one of them. Edit 2. I've talked with my kids again about it and decided to leave in the next 2 months. We will start packing. Thanks everyone. Not the asshole. You can't let your husband bleed your and your children's resources to save his siblings. He's off his rocker. How much has your family given to your husband's in-laws? Do y'all owe his mom a large amount of money? He told me I stay at home and quit my job so he can cut off the nurse and I take care of his mother. I told him how about he takes care of his mother and quit to stay at home, and he said no. The nerve of that man. Not the asshole. So your husband knows you're about to leave and is trying to make you miserable before you go? Or trying to lock you in and say, oh, but you can't leave now, my mother needs you. Either way, speed up those divorce plans and run. Leave him to sleep in the bed of his own making. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I was gonna say he's gonna make you stop working so you can be the free nurse, but apparently he already said that. Not the asshole. He chose his pride over your kids and yourself. That is not a good look. Am I the asshole for telling the bride we will not be eating at the wedding? Basically the title. Apologies in advance for formatting as I am typing on a cell phone. I'm also going to post on wedding planning for cross-reference and other POVs. I have been in many weddings. Total is 29 and I will be 27 at the time of topic wedding. As a bridesmaid, where one of my duties was to keep up with, assist the bride in keeping account for guests' food allergies, or if a couple were attending but didn't want a plate for their safety food allergy wise. Now, I am anaphylactic allergic to dairy, which the bride, my cousin, knows about it and knows that I had a reaction from cross-contamination 2 months ago and a few more over the last 5 years. Just thought I was lactose intolerant until 2018. I am not a bridesmaid for my cousin. Don't care, as she was one of my biggest bullies growing up. I am attending as a controlled environment for my significant other to meet my mom and dad, since my dad doesn't respect my NC with mom, and showing the significant other around one of the places I grew up. I thought that since it will be pizza served and store-bought fruit and veggie plates with ranch and yogurt, and the couple's wedding website clarified that it will be one-topping pizzas with cheese. Allergies will not be considered in the food count. Wasn't even an option on the RSVP to state an allergy. And guests with children will be allowed to go up to the buffet setup first, that it would be okay for me to give my cousin a heads up that my significant other and I will be attending but not eating for her food head count. Significant other doesn't have an allergy but is insisting he will look like an asshole if he ate and I couldn't. I thought this was okay because it has been done at other weddings and maybe she would be happy about the money-saving part like the other brides, some of which we are related to. I was very wrong and my cousin called me to scream at me. She asked, what is so wrong with pizza that you don't want to eat? Since we were at a wedding just last year with same caterer, so I know that even without cheese there will be dairy. I said, we just think it will be safer for me if we were to not eat at the wedding, but we are looking forward to celebrating their big day with them. The following 7 minutes of her going on about how good the pizza is and that I am wrong for hating on their food choices ended with, you didn't get fat without eating pizza. For the cost part, this caterer vendor charges by the number of people eating and not by portion, slice, pizza, as he does other food items as well. Think 20 pizzas for $98 being cheaper than 20 pizzas for $100 that are the exact same size and toppings. This is the same caterer I worked with for a different wedding last year at the same venue, also with pizza. My mom's side of the family uses this caterer so much that he has sent all of us that have not been married yet a listing of his prices for the next 3 years back in March. This gentleman is very nice and almost like a nicer family member. I was just taken aback and just ended the call with, sounds like you are having a rough day. Sorry for adding to it, and promptly hung up. Now I am wondering a week later if I was the asshole for even telling her that the two of us won't be eating? For my wedding in 2025, I don't care as long as you are there. To clarify, I was not asking for accommodation, especially since the website said it would not be done or complaining. Just doing the number thing as it had been done for multiple family and not family weddings. I texted her, hey. Just want to give you a heads up for the head count on food that, so. And I are attending but not eating. Looking forward to the big day. She called me roughly 2 hours later. My allergy was not mentioned until in the phone call, but it was one of those calls where that was not going to be heard. Until posting, I had never considered RSVPing no because I had never done that as a guest or bridesmaid in the Southern "it's family" thing. Since I have until the 1st of October to change the RSVP from yes to no, I will be talking to my significant other tonight about making other plans for the same time. We could still do a trip to the place without attending, go to my other hometown, or even do one of our bucket list trips. The messages listing the pros sound heavenly and feel like they will outweigh the flack I will get for not going. Edit to add. I texted my cousin, "Hey. Just want to give you a heads up for the headcount on food that, so, and I are attending but not eating. Looking forward to the big day." She called me roughly 2 hours later. Edit 2. Added the cost part and clarification. She sounds awful. I wouldn't go at this point. Just find a different way to introduce your significant other. A wedding where you don't like the bride and she doesn't like you is a lousy place to do it. Not the asshole. But why bother to inform her? It's an open buffet. You have concerns about the food, you don't serve yourself. Not the asshole to not eat, but as a controlled environment for my significant other to meet my mom and dad since my dad doesn't respect my NC with mom. Yeah, no, don't do that shit, don't go to the wedding. Just don't go. Problem solved. So she bullied you and is rude to you. Why even go? Arrange another occasion to introduce your family to so. Am I the asshole for meeting up with my ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend? Am I the asshole for meeting up with my ex-boyfriend's current girlfriend? Edit. My ex knew about me and his girlfriend meeting. He didn't come because he and I do not get along at all, and it would have made things awkward. The meet was so my daughter was comfortable, it wasn't about my ex. Edit number 2. For the people that think it's weird, they've been together for 2 years and I've never met her. We've only just met because she lives 2 hours away and my ex used to go to her house to visit her. She's only just started coming to our area to visit him, which is why she reached out to me. I wasn't aware of their relationship until last year. Edit number 3. I did tell my boyfriend about meeting up with Katie. He's known about it since day one. Edit 4. For Christ's sake. Why are people picking at me for meeting Katie without my ex being there? He and I absolutely do not get along at all. If he came there would have been a horrible atmosphere and possibly an argument. Katie was fine with him not being there. Daniel was fine with not being there, he didn't want to come anyway. So I've no clue why people of Reddit have an issue with it. Edit 5. Yes. I have full custody. That's never been a problem, we've never had to go to court for custody, not sure why people are bothered by this. For context, I have a 7-year-old with my ex, and 2 more children with my current partner. My ex has been with his current girlfriend for 2 years now, we broke up when our daughter was 1. His girlfriend and I connected on Facebook around a month or 2 ago, she's a very nice person. I've never really talked to any of his partners before as they weren't serious. His current girlfriend, Katie, asked if it would be okay if she and my ex, Daniel, took our daughter out for the day. I said yes, no problem. She hadn't met my daughter at this point. We arranged to meet up in a local coffee shop and I took my daughter along with me, just to ease any anxieties she may have around Katie as she's a new person in my daughter's life. The meet went great. We talked a lot, there was no awkwardness at all. My daughter even gave her a hug before we left, which is rare as she's not really a touchy-lovey person with anyone except for me and her grandma. I text my partner, Jordan, to let him know I was about to leave and I'd be home shortly. He asked where I was and I told him we were at a coffee shop. He asked who I was with, I told him Katie and my daughter. He texted me back, and Daniel? I said no, just Katie and Georgia, daughter. He responded, K, and then put his phone on Do Not Disturb so I couldn't get in touch with him. I got home and he wouldn't really speak to me. Before I went to bed I asked him again, what's wrong? He said it's weird I went to meet my ex's girlfriend. I'm trying to be best friends with her and I wouldn't like it if he went to meet people from his ex's family. But he doesn't have children with his ex, so there would be no need for him to meet up with them. He's the only one that has a problem with me meeting her. He thinks I'm doing it to get close to my ex, I absolutely am not. He still isn't really speaking to me and honestly I don't know what the issue is. Is it weird I went to meet up with her before allowing my daughter to go on a day trip with her? Am I the asshole for trying to get along with her? I've never been in this position before. My boyfriend seems super uncomfortable with me communicating with her. Not the asshole, what you did makes complete sense, and is what is best for your daughter. Your partner needs to grow up. Not the asshole, you don't have a boyfriend, you have a second child. This is incredibly immature. He texted me back, and Daniel? I said no, just Katie and Georgia, daughter. He responded, K, and then put his phone on Do Not Disturb so I couldn't get in touch with him. I got home and he wouldn't really speak to me. He still isn't really speaking to me. In Ta. Why wouldn't you meet the person who will be spending time with your child? Your boyfriend needs to understand that it's your responsibility to check in with people who will be a part of your child's life. Wish more people were like you. You sound like a wonderful mom. Not the asshole. Only a shitty parent wouldn't meet an adult that will be taking care of their child. Not the asshole. The reason you two met up was your daughter, not your ex. It's not like you went clubbing.